Welcome to Science on Tap. Let's do a quick raise of hands. Who knows about science talk that starts tomorrow? Yeah, nice, fantastic. Well, we are excited to get the ball rolling for that. For those who don't know what that is, it's a super awesome conference that's going to happen the next 2 days at the Tiffany Center, where a bunch of fabulous, geeky scientists get together and go, how do we talk about this stuff in a cool way? Just like we do here, but even cooler. And so they're going to have a whole conference just on that, which is absolutely fantastic. But we're here, and so we're going to celebrate being here by talking about this show that you're here to see, which is going to be a live podcast. So just so you know, if you ask a question, if you heckle, if you do those kinds of things, you will be recorded on the podcast. So just keep that in mind. Yeah, okay. Yeah, uh-huh. All right, so this is a partnership between Science Talk and Science on Tap to bring this to you tonight, and so we're going to quickly talk about some upcoming Science on Tap shows that we have in the lineup, but before we do that, we want to talk about the ever-fabulous 314 Action. Did anybody go talk to them in the lobby? Yeah, we got a couple people? Awesome. They are a fantastic organization that helps scientists run for office. So basically, how can we make sure we're getting science issues on the agenda at the political level? Super great organization. There's their website right here if you want to check it out. And you can also get some stuff on the table on the way out or during intermission. Okay, for real, more Science on Tap coming up. We're super excited about this one, which is going to be in 2 weeks' time, right here in this same spot. Science is Stranger Than Fiction, Death and the Afterlife. And basically, Dr. Leslie New is going to come on stage and talk about all the really weird things you can see at the Muter Museum in Philadelphia, which we're talking soap ladies, we're talking skulls, we're talking all kinds of crazy stuff. It'll be fun. We also love sea turtles. And they're endangered, and so we have some amazing people that are working on that issue, including Brad Nahill, who will be talking about that at the Kiggins across the river on May 8th. Finally, back here again at Alberta Rose, we have a fantastic author that we get to welcome, Thomas Seeley. He's the bee guy. His whole career has been about bees, and he's written many books about them. And the latest is looking at what is the difference between farm bees and wild bees, and what could be some solutions to helping bees out by looking at that difference. And that's what this book is all about and what he'll talk about. So come join us if you like, and we'll have some fun. Meanwhile, you have these happy pieces of paper. And I would say get those ready and out, as well as those happy little golf pencils you got, because we are going to do some trivia. There's also some other things that are on there, like if you want to tell us what you thought about tonight. I do share this information with our team, as including the folks who will be up here tonight. So if you'd like to share your love or your ideas, please do that. And over on this side, we are scientists, so we like data. And anything that you want to share, of course, we keep it internally, but it helps us figure things out. The last request I have before we get trivia started is your cell phones. Please make them quiet. Also, a lot of what we have going on for the live podcast tonight relies on Wi-Fi, and your phone is pinging it every 30 seconds if your Wi-Fi is on, which is annoying when it comes to what we want to do tonight. So if you could push that little button or click that little thing, whatever your phone has to do to turn off the Wi-Fi, that would be amazing. Also, you could just do the airplane mode, which takes care of all of it, and then you can just focus on the talk. All right, we're ready for some trivia. Now, this was fun. Normally, when we do trivia for Science on Tap, we have a topic, and I get to kind of riff on that topic. This time, I contacted Dr. Kiki, and I'm like, I don't know what you guys are going to talk about. What the heck am I supposed to do? So she gave me some really incredible stuff, and I think we're going to have some fun. So number one. Researchers in Australia recently used the oldest ever sperm to successfully result in viable offspring in sheep. How old was that sperm? Oldest sperm ever to make viable offspring. A, 35 years. B, 40 years. C, 45. Or D, 50 years. You could reverse engineer and be like, how long did we have that science for to be able to freeze that stuff? That's what I would do. But I know the answer, so. Number 2, the flying bulldog was recently discovered in Indonesia. They are the largest type of what invertebrate? A, the bee, C, cricket, C, fly, or D, mosquito? Flying bulldog. Somebody thinks it's funny. All right, I think we're ready for number 3. Approximately what proportion of microbes survive the trip from your mouth to your gut? A, 1%, B, 33, C, 50, or D, 66%? We got stomach acid, we got teeth, we got other things that are inside of us that are going to go after these microbes. How many make it? 4. What organism has the only known example of a transient anus? Say that 10 times fast. And let me tell you how fun it was to find the not answers for this, because I got to type a Google search of weird animal anuses. It's real. All of them are weird, but one has the transient anus. Which one is it? A, face mites, B, flatworms, C, skipper caterpillars, or D, the warty cone jelly? I know the answer. I'm not giving it away. All right, we're going to talk about some more poop action here. According to a dubious study, it takes approximately the same amount of time for all mammals to poop. How long does it take? You are a mammal, just as a reference. A, 6 seconds, B, 12, C, 18, or D, 24. If it takes you longer than any of those, you need to drink more water or fiber, whatever makes you happy. 6 is coming up. Make a choice. We've definitely gone past 24 seconds at this point. Here we are. The estimated 19,500-pound dinosaur discovered back in 1991 and named for a bottle of scotch was designated this week as the largest of what group of dinos? So it took them a while to figure it out, but they finally did. And maybe if you grew up playing with dinosaurs, you know how to pronounce these. I did not. So I'm just going to let you read them and choose which one you think it is. I could just keep saying saurus, 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 but that's it. I know, I threw a loop in there, making you read yourself. I believe in you. Number 7. It's not quite a true-false, but it's an either-or. A recent study confirmed that horseshoe crabs are what? This has been hotly contested. What was the recent study prove? That they are arachnids or they are crustaceans? Ooh, there's feelings over here about that. Lots of feelings. Number 8. In February, we said goodbye to which Mars rover after 15 years of faithful service and data transmission? A, Curiosity, B, Insight, C, Opportunity, or D, Spirit? Which one was the first one on my list? Curiosity. I'm not going to tell you that. I will say that all of these are Mars rovers. I looked up, once again, fun Google searching for this one. 9. I'm gonna give this a shot. Let's say Ultima Thule is a Kuiper belt. Kuiper? Awesome, thank you. Object belt approximately 4 million miles from Earth. This is what I was told, I'm sorry. What does its nickname mean? So it really doesn't matter how far, we just want to know the nickname. A, beyond the known world. B, end of the river. C, solitary one. Or D, turn one's back. We got one more space question once we're done with this one. And it's about this same area out in space. 10. Some new terms have been created to describe the merging of smaller solar system objects to become larger ones. What word describes the process of collisional merging of material to assemble each of the lobes rather than breaking each other up? So, layman's terms, two objects come together, and instead of crashing and fragmenting, they actually merge into one thing. What is the verb for that? A, blorping. B, flumping. C, hitchhiking. Or D, mating. Once again, a really fun Google search. All right, that is our 10 questions. So if you've been here before, you know we trade with a neighbor. If you came with someone, great. If not, make a new friend. If you know the person you're grading, you can make snide remarks and smiley faces. If you do not, maybe this is not the time. All right, number 1. How old was that sperm? 50 years old. This is an actual image of those sperm. In fact, it was a video, and you got to see them wiggle around. And what's amazing is the amount of viable offspring was essentially the same percent as only 12-month-old sperm. So the longevity is staying. 2, flying bulldog. What is it? It's a bee. It's about as big as your thumb. And one of the things that I thought was super fun when I read about it is people talking about hearing them flying and what amazing sound that was with their size. And kind of comparing the two sizes here. 3, what percent of microbes from mouth to stomach? It is 33%. And what's cool about it is that this is really, truly new science this week, because we used to think if things made it all the way through, it actually caused like an illness, which is true, that still happens. But we're finding that more actually makes it, and it's a good thing. 4, what organism has the only known example of a transient anus? It is a... Check it out. It's comb? Ah, thank you. It's a comb like in your hair. Yes, okay, great. So it's fun, you know, that goes through the system, and then all of a sudden it creates this V, and one of those angles of the V just gets to the skin and explodes open, and then closes back up. Though once again, I will reiterate, it is super fun to type in a Google search, weird animal anuses. Do it. 5. How many seconds does it take us to poop? 12 seconds. Though admittedly, they did not count the rapid poopers like rabbits. They took those out of the study. But if anybody makes a face like that when they're pooping, I think all is really good with life. Yeah. It means they have some really good mucus action happening. Yeah. All right, 6. What type of dinosaur is the huge dinosaur? It is the T-Rex. And basically, they're judging it based on the femur bone and what we know about what kind of weight the femur bone holds. 7, 50-50 shot. And the answer is, according to recent studies, arachnids. I mean, look at, how could you not look at that and be like, that's totally a spider? Eight. And our Mars rover that we bid adieu to is? Oh, I thought I was going to get like a wave of answer, but the answer is opportunity. And I love these statistics to help get the point across. Facebook was still not created. We had a month to go. YouTube would not have wouldn't have a video for another year. George W. Bush was still on his first term, and NASA's, whatever that is, spacecraft, had not yet even arrived in the Saturn system to help put it all in perspective about how long opportunity lasted. Number 9, what is the nickname of this hotly contested, how far away it really is, object? Beyond the known world. And what they're finding fascinating is to have an area in the solar system where things are actually getting bigger instead of smaller, because so much within our space collides and gets smaller, and so we have this interesting look into things getting bigger in space. Somebody thought that was funny. I think there are hopes of other things getting bigger. 10, what verb is it about these two objects coming together to create one? Blorping. Add it up. How many did you get correct? Did anybody get a 10 out of 10? 10 out of 10. Anybody in the room? No? We'll give you applause. It'll be amazing. No? Okay, 9. Any niners out there? Niners? No, that's just somebody waving. Okay. Niners? How about eighters? Hey, we got some eighters in the house. 2 of you. At the end of the show, come meet me down here because we have some pint glasses for you to remember your night here. Let's see if we got any 7s. How many 7s? We got a couple 7s. You guys get pint glasses too. Meet me down here at the end of the show. The rest of you, come on back and try again. All right, you'll notice that these amazing people walking down the aisleways, we call them our minions. They choose that name, FYI. They are handing you 3x5 cards, and the instructions for these are during the first half of the show. They are asking you to write on there your ideas of what has science done for me lately. What has science done for me lately? Janet Jackson or Paula Abdul? Who was it? Was it Janet? Okay, cool. We were debating. Nasty it up, my friend. All right. So we're about to dim the house lights a bit and bring up some amazing people. This Week in Science is the oldest science podcast ever, which is amazing, and we get to see them here tonight live. And those 3 people that we're going to welcome to the stage with a thunderous round of applause are Dr. Kiki, Blair, and Justin. Give it up.
Hello! Hello! Oh my gosh! Wait. I can see you. I see you.
It is so nice to be back
I
in
see
my
you.
personal favorite city on the planet.
Yes. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the show tonight, everyone. We are ready to get started. So without any further ado, there's always a little more ado, that's right. This is TWIS, This Week in Science, episode number 715, recorded on Wednesday, April 3rd, 2019, live from the Alberta Rose in Portland. This live broadcast is sponsored by 314 Action and brought to you in partnership with Science Talk and Science on Tap. I'm Dr. Kiki, and tonight we will fill your head with fishy fossils, medical mucus, and slumber parties. But first...
Disclaimer, disclaimer, disclaimer. Humans, we've all seen them. Delightful and despicable as the hairless apes may be, it's difficult to imagine a world today without them. Yes, they are the ones responsible for global warming, deforestation, despeciation, and are the second most prolific polluters the planet has ever produced. First prize goes to microbes, who during a neoprotozoic oxygenation event killed off more life forms, more diversity of species than we have done thus far by creating a toxin called oxygen. Now, this is commonly used for respiration today, so it ended well for us. And this 2.5 billion year old end of the world event, which wasn't the end of the world, should give us a little bit of pause. Because while we consider the Earth to be a safe place, a settled argument, a steady rock upon which to build our civilizations, it is not. Eventually there comes a change. And change isn't a good thing or a bad thing, it just happens. Now, being that we mostly hairless apes are mostly interested in prolonging our stay here, we bring to you lessons learned over the last 2.5 billion years on how to be on the planet successfully here on This Week in Science. Coming up next.
I got the kind of mind that can't get enough. I wanna learn everything, I wanna fill it all up with new discoveries that happen every day of the week. There's only one place to go to find the knowledge I seek. I wanna know what's happening, what's happening, what's happening this week in science. What's happening, what's happening, what's happening this week in science.
Good science to you, Kiki and Blair.
Good science to you too, Justin, Blair, and everyone out there, especially those of you here live in the theater tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you. We have got a wonderful and special episode ahead for you. On this week's show, we are joined by the PDX Broadsides. And we're going to talk with Dr. Allison Coffin about her fishy research into hearing. Woohoo! And we have tons of science news, which we love. I have new stories about some fishy fossils, as I mentioned earlier, and also mosquitoes, our favorite summer friends. Yeah. Justin, what do you have?
I've got fish mucus cures and somewhat recent early human hookups.
Hookups. That sounds like it should come from the animal corner. Blair, what's in the animal corner?
Oh, I have some cozy canines, I have silly skinks, and what your sleeping position tells about you if you're a quadruped.
Oh. Great. Body language for quadrupeds, what everyone needs to know. All right, as we jump into the show, I would love to remind all of you that if you have not done so, you can subscribe to the This Week in Science podcast everywhere that good podcasts are found. Apple, Google, Spreaker, Spotify, Pandora.
I think you're making up some of those, but yeah,
just making
pretty
up
much.
some of the names. Anyway, you can also find us on YouTube and Facebook, or just go to TWIS.org. But now it's time for the science, so let's dig into some of those fishy fossils. Some of you may have heard about a mass grave recently found in North Dakota. Terrible, grisly scene. Fish upended every which way, trapped in the rocks. Yeah, well, it's a fossil site that is evidence of a meteor impact from 66 million years ago. 66 million years ago might ring a bell
Hey, that's right when the dinosaurs left.
Yeah, they're like, hey, I gotta get out of here. Yeah, no, that's not exactly what happened. Anyhow, at about that time in North Dakota, as the result of a meteor impact in the Yucatan Peninsula, there were seismic waves that rippled through the core of the Earth, traversing the mantle, the crust, not taking the nice long period of time it would take to go all the way around the Earth to various places, but just going right through it. The meteor rang the Earth like a bell. This Chicxulub impact resulted in tsunami-like waves that are called seiches. These seiches caused inland waves up river valleys, thousands of kilometers away from where the impact took place. And this fossil site that's been discovered and reported in an article this last week in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences has reported on what they found. These haphazardly preserved fish in a very interesting stratification of soils, where in one place there are pebble-like sediments, and then the fish that seem to have been trapped in mud, as if a giant mud wave came up the river valley and just left them on a shore. They were mixed up with logs and other fossils and potentially even dinosaur fossils, which is where this story gets even more interesting, because there are a bunch of people up in arms that there was an article that came out before this scientific paper came out in the New Yorker that talked all about supposed dinosaur fossils that were also trapped with the fish. Now, the story is good enough as this kind of forensic evidence of what happened mere hours after the Chicxulub impact. What would have happened around the world in places all over the world, up river valleys everywhere, to life in the waterways and on land. But now it gets into this question of, were the dinosaurs still around when the Chicxulub impact took place? Or had they already been kind of dying off? Was there something else, like climate change, going on at that point in time that was killing off the dinosaurs and they weren't doing very well? Or were they fine? The problem is, the fossil record does not support the idea that dinosaurs were really still around. And so if we were to find lots of dinosaur fossils mixed in around the time point of the Chicxulub impact, it would suggest that, hey, dinosaurs were still thriving. And so that's what we want from this finding. And if there are these dinosaur fossils, we want to know about it. However, this paper didn't report it, but popular media did. And so now scientists are like, science by popular media is not science. Well, it's not, right? It's not really a finding until it's peer reviewed.
Wait, we're not doing science right now?
We're talking science.
So my favorite part of this story is what you mentioned, those pebbles that they found. Those pebbles were glass that had been thrown up into the atmosphere by this meteor impact and rained down for 15 to 20 minutes at around 200 miles an hour.
Yeah, vaporized Earth.
So it's
these
not
glass
quite.
pebbles are like a shotgun blast coming down and hitting everything that could have been trying to be alive at the time.
Yeah, so that flash of light that you see in movies, and then all of the dinosaurs were just gone. It sounds like it was a lot less pleasant than that.
So part of this rock formation too, though, if they haven't found dinosaurs, I mean, this is an inland sea, but it's also a tsunami wave that came through. So it's also water that got covered up, and then a land mass that got thrown on top of it, which is why all that life form was piled up together in one place. So it doesn't mean there's not dinosaurs alive at the time. It just means they weren't in that lake or that inland sea.
Right. But
Fish
anyway.
were everywhere. Fish were people like, this is the dinosaur. Fish were popular the entire time
Totally.
that we've had these more advanced life forms. So.
Yeah.
Popular, populous, all over.
Yes.
So basically, the take-home message from this study is this is a cool finding that gives us some insight about what happened at that point in time, right after the impact. But it doesn't tell us anything about the dinosaurs, and we have to wait for more papers to come out.
But it does tell you that if there is a big meteor impact somewhere else in the world, stay indoors. Don't go out. Don't go out, because
Maybe
that
don't go
glass rain sounds really horrible.
Don't go swimming in the river. Yeah, that might not be nice. Okay, moving on up, let's talk about Skrillex. Woo! Electronic dance music fans in the house? Unch, unch, unch. Yep. Anyway, you may have seen or heard stories in the news in the last week that Skrillex is a good mosquito repellent.
Is that the name of a new off-brand repellent?
No,
or?
Skrillex is an
Okay.
electronic music DJ producer guy.
Okay.
Anyway, anyhow, some researchers published a paper in, what is the name of the journal? ACTA, I don't remember the name of the journal, ACTA something or other. And their study looked at a particular song by Skrillex to see how it affected mosquitoes' ability to mate and look for food.
So is it like, do they enjoy it? Are they like dancing to it and then like get distracted and can't go on about their
What I love about the paper is they call it their exposure of the Skrillex music to the mosquitoes entertainment. They entertained the female mosquitoes with Skrillex. So the reasoning behind this is that mosquitoes depend on various sound frequencies to find their mates. In fact, male and female mosquitoes often have to fly in harmony and harmonize the sound that they make while they're flying. Oh, you
As
sound
do we
like,
all.
You sound good with me. Let's be friends. Right? So, and additionally, sound can also play a part in how mosquitoes find their prey. And in this story, they thought, well, this Skrillex song, Scary Monsters and Nice Sprites,
Oh, that's Skrillex.
that's
Oh,
Skrillex.
okay.
Yes.
Scary
the
Monsters and
Skrillex
Nice
song is apparently full of very high frequency and low frequency variations that they thought might disrupt these behaviors. And lo and behold, they did. The Skrillex song was good. Females who were entertained with the music didn't attack hosts as much. They couldn't find a sock that smelled like people as often. And it took them longer to find the human scent than their non-entertained peers. And they also didn't feed as much when the music was played, and they didn't enjoy dating.
So I'm of a certain age, though, that this could be really useful. I could play that. We could narrow it down to a frequency. I could play a really high-pitched noise very loudly, and it would keep away both mosquitoes and teenagers.
So
Well, nice
that's my other question was, did they try any other kinds of music besides Skrillex?
Not in this study, but other
Why
studies.
not? Like,
I-
why would
Would
that
they-
be your only choice?
They conclude that this is an area that requires further study.
I'm just saying, if I'm designing a study, that's not going to be my go-to for the laboratory. That's an aggressive choice.
You're dating yourself. You're dating yourself.
So am I.
I mean, who wants to go to the club later? Never mind.
But if Skrillex doesn't work as a mosquito repellent for you this summer, this spring, summer, never you fear. Researchers are still working to try and figure out what other things bring mosquitoes to want to feed on their hosts. And have people in the audience heard that carbon dioxide is something that mosquitoes are attracted to? Yes, we've heard this.
It's true still?
It is still true. However, it is not the only thing that mosquitoes are attracted to. In fact, they're also attracted to your body odor, heat, moisture, and visual cues. And part of that body odor is made up of a bunch of volatile chemicals that can be ammonia, amines, carboxylic acids, lactic acid, ketones, sulfides, and 1-octan-3-ol, among others. The insects, these mosquitoes, respond to these chemicals with various receptors. They have these olfactory receptors on their antenna, and some of them respond to carbon dioxide, and others are ionotropic, which means they're responding to certain ions. certain molecules, and they gate these receptors to turn on the response of mosquitoes, and they sometimes work together. What they discovered is that carbon dioxide is kind of, the researcher who did the study, he says that it's like a mosquito coffee. It just gets mosquitoes revved up to go search for food, but it doesn't actually help them find the food. So the carbon dioxide is just going, all right, get in there, go play the game. And then the mosquitoes have to home in on their target, and part of that they discovered by using a CRISPR-Cas9 gene editing system. There is a protein called IR8A, and it is for a receptor for one of these ionotropic proteins in the antenna. When they mutated it, they found that these mosquitoes cannot sense lactic acid in human sweat. It is a big component in human sweat, and it reduced the ability of mosquitoes to find people by about 50%. And so, if we can figure out how to jam the signal for lactic acid, then potentially we're going to be reducing those pesky bites. We're working on it.
But still, the best option is not to breathe.
Wait,
Like,
no,
oh, like,
No,
you
it's
know,
not
like-
to sweat.
So
Not
hold
to
your
sweat.
breath as long
Yeah.
as possible,
Hold-
because
that's-
then you don't turn them on in the first place.
Hold your sweat and don't hold your breath and don't breathe.
I like hold your sweat and don't. Yeah.
Hold your breath. Hold your breath. Don't breathe. Don't exercise.
Well, no, you
don't
can
sweat.
inhale. I guess
There
you
we
can
go.
inhale.
I've got it.
Yeah.
You just-
All right, that does it for me. Justin, do you have a story to tell?
I have to. Also, by the way, just this is sorry, not for you. Don't look at the lights. You'll
can't.
lose your vision for a while.
That happens.
Okay, so you can spit on it, rub some dirt on it. If that doesn't work, you can take an antibiotic, and if that fails, you can slather some fish mucus on the problem, according to recent research. So this is sounding pretty serious. I don't really like this story. There's an estimate that by 2050, most of our antimicrobials will be ineffective, which
I don't like that.
no. So what that means, though, is because we're kind of used to having lots of this around and being able to go and take a pill or something to fight these things off. It says here that by 2050, it means that the people will be dying from infections more than anything else. And that's more than
Heart disease,
car crashes.
cancer.
It's more than car crashes, cancer, and being crushed by a vending machine all put together. All of those we would be beating, and not if it just happened all at once, but all of those together. It's about 10 million people a year, they think, would be leaving the planet from infections.
So tell me the good news now.
Yeah,
No, there
enough
isn't. No, I'm sorry, that was the start. I'm sorry. No. Oh wait, yeah, there is. So there is more. Hang on. So microbes are everywhere. Anywhere you go on the planet, anywhere on your body, anywhere inside your body, there's microbes everywhere. Scientists have been focusing a lot looking for the antimicrobials in the soil because there's this warfare that goes on between fungi and bacteria, and in that there's things that ward each other off, and that laboratory's been going for a few billion years. So we tend to look there. This is Oregon State University.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, the Losgen Lab,
the house.
headed by Dr. Sandra Losgen. If I'm doing that close to correct. They partnered with Cal State University Fullerton, and they started looking at fish mucus, the coverings on fish. And at first I was sort of like, well, how did, is it? Yeah, no, it's a bit, okay, you're doing that now, but wait till you find out that your next generation's gonna survive because of this stuff. And so what was sort of interesting, I was sort of thinking well, how much, they're in the water all the time, they're always getting washed, how much so it's partly that this is a coating that protects them from infections because it has antimicrobials in it, but it's also collecting all the microbes and viruses that it's swimming through also are getting stuck in here. So it's a lab dish on a fish that's constantly being inoculated in our oceans. So they took 17 different species. They got 47 different bacterial strains isolated, and 15 of these showed good result. They showed some pretty decent inhibition of MRSA. That's the one that's already a problem. It's not the one that we've gotten to yet as a problem. They had one that was so effective, they played with it a little bit more. This was from a coastal pink surf perch.
Yeah, my favorite fish.
All right. It produced a metabolite that they managed to inhibit the growth of human colon carcinoma cells.
What?
Boom, yeah. It's like, so they have to do a little bit more research on it, but colon cancer in the future may be cured by fish mucus.
So they're always talking about new pharmaceuticals hiding in the rainforest. They might be in fish mucus instead. That's pretty exciting. In the oceans, right?
Yeah.
The oceans, the rainforest we didn't know we were missing.
It's just all one ocean anyway, man. Okay, this story I got today. Thank you, Fada, wherever you are, for sending this to me. This is an international team of researchers found evidence of Denisovans interbreeding with modern humans in Southeast Asia, which actually that's not new. We've known that for a while. What is new is when they now think this could have happened. So this is another species of human, like us Neanderthals. This is the Denisovans were from Siberia down through Southeast Asia. There's a finger bone that we found of them and a little bit of skull cap for physical evidence. But the DNA evidence is running pretty deep. We know that there was at some period a nice hybridization of Neanderthal and Denisovans that were on the planet. The first Neanderthals that we mingled with was about 40,000 years ago, or even the most recent was about 40,000 years ago in the Middle East. According to this study, humans possibly were interbreeding with Denisovans in Southeast Asia as recent as 15,000 years ago. So that's putting Denisovans on the planet at the same time that North and South America are populated.
Yeah, it was being populated.
Yeah. Europe is getting really into hunting and gathering.
It's 5,000 years before we really got into agriculture.
Well, but right about the point where we domesticated the pig. So I mean, it's just really interesting because this is sort of pushing that whole idea of it being that archaic of a hominid. It's much more recent.
Yeah, I think the idea that we've stuck with for so long is that this kind of stuff happened long, long ago in the past. Not recently, but this makes it seem more like recent history.
Yeah, and then so the study went a little further. So they've got three groups. There's the initial finding of a Denisovan in the Siberian cave. That's population 0. And they found two other groups around New Guinea. This is a population 1 and 2. What's interesting is that these two groups, 1 and 2, diverged like 283,000 years ago themselves. And population 2, they think, is actually so far removed from Denisovan and Neanderthal in relationship that it should be classified as its own hominin now.
Oh, wow.
So we may have to come up with a new name for another hominin human that was walking the earth at some point.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Not a Denisovan. We'll name it just another human that was walking around at the same time a long time ago.
Yeah. So the Denisovan. So you know what they should do? They should call that one a Denisovan, because there has been so much confusion about how to say this. Okay, we can both have our way now. And we'll just, one's a Denisovan, the other's a Denisovan.
Yeah, so that one has two N's.
They're spelled the same. They're spelled the same. You don't change that.
Oh, okay.
You just have to know which population you're talking about.
What I think is interesting about this story is that so much of nature is trial and error. So much of evolution is trial and error. And in nature, if you can, you do. And in this, humans are not immune to that. And that attempt in history. And as much as it might make people feel kind of yucky, this is part of our history, and as we evolved, there were all these kind of braided threads coming in and out. And
Braided stream.
The braided stream, I think it just adds richness to our history. Like, it wasn't like, and then humans evolved and we lived alone on the planet for hundreds of thousands of years. No.
Yeah.
There were many people, and that, I think, is just this fabulous history that we're starting to discover.
We had our own adaptive radiation. It makes nothing but sense.
Nothing.
Nothing
Sense.
but sense.
You know what else makes a lot of sense? The fact that you are here for This Week in Science. We're at Science on Tap. And, you know, Science on Tap, that makes me think maybe we should have a beer.
Ooh.
Should we have a beer?
Beer?
Should we have a beer at Science
Oh
on
my goodness.
we should have a beer. It's amazing.
This is the best thing ever.
What service?
What service? And you know what else? It's also time for Blair's Animal Corner.
With beer.
With beer.
She loves all animals, great and small. Five-pet, millipede, no pet at all. You wanna hear about animals? She's your girl. Except for giant pandas and squirrels. Blair's Animal Corner.
What you got, Blair?
Oh my goodness. I am going to start off with a story about everyone's best friend, their dog. Clap if you have a dog. Yeah. Clap if you got your dog from a shelter or a rescue.
Good for you.
So we have around 4 million dogs in shelters right now in the United States. And for all of us that have visited shelters in the past, we know that it doesn't always look like the funnest place for dogs to be, but it is a necessary evil. That is where they need to go to be taken care of until we can find homes for them. But there's always studies going on trying to figure out how to make those shelters and those experiences better for the dogs in those shelters. So a recent study from Arizona State University's Canine Science Collaboratory looked at how doggy sleepovers or short-term foster care, maybe just for a weekend, could impact the stress response and rest patterns of shelter dogs. Now, the reason this study kind of caught my eye is that I know that it's very hip these days to take your dog to a social gathering, maybe try to pick up a little special somebody with your adorable dog, right? Nice conversation starter. And so there is this kind of debate in the shelter community and the rescue community of whether these short-term sleepovers, these short-term fosters should be used or not. Is it doing more damage than good? Or is it nice to get those dogs out of the shelter, even if it's only for a couple of days? Is there this kind of culture shock of being pulled out and being put back?
So I've heard about this, and I always thought it sounded kind of cruel. It's like a fake adoption.
Yeah.
Like, so like, hey, you get to come home. Yeah, you're going to have a family in a house and a warm place to sleep. But it's, it's
Psych.
Just, it was
Just temporary.
No,
Just
it was
for the
just one
weekend.
day.
Yeah.
No, I couldn't do
That's
this
it.
every day.
So this was a study looking at around many different types of shelters, looking at ones that do these temporary sleepover programs and long-term fosters, looking at shelters that had either 600 dogs or 6,000, so varying sizes, varying types of care that they provide. And they looked at the stress hormone cortisol before, during, and after these sleepovers. They also had them wear activity trackers so that they could see how much they were sleeping before, during, and after their sleepovers as well. And what they found was that overall, these short-term fosters were a positive experience. They found that even temporary removal from the shelter environment reduced stress that they experienced during that weekend. Yeah, so they explained it like a weekend away from work. Their cortisol, their stress levels did spike back when they returned, but it took some time to spike back. And even a temporary kind of barrier to that stress level was helpful in the health of the dog overall. What also I think is really interesting is that in terms of their activity trackers, dogs who live in homes sleep about 14 hours a day. And for those of you that own dogs, I bet that sounds about right, maybe a little bit more. But while dogs are in shelters, they only sleep around 11 hours a day. And that's because of this noisy neighbor scenario. So there's all these different dogs doing all these different things. They're not part of their pack. They're not necessarily familiar. They come and go. And so it creates this more restless sleep. They're not sleeping as much. what they found was that even after they returned to the shelter, the dogs rested longer than they did before their stay on the sleepover. Yeah. So even though their cortisol levels spiked back, their sleeping pattern remained adjusted for at least a little while. So this means that our initial assumptions about this kind of culture shock, this shock of being pulled out of the shelter and put back.
The inconsistency.
It's not really there. For the dogs, they'd rather not be in the shelter no matter how long. So this is great because there's not a lot of shelters that do short-term foster programs like this. So this is a great opportunity for those facilities to explore this. And I know in my very busy lifestyle with trips to Portland and stuff like that, I cannot own a dog right now. Even long-term fosters are pretty difficult, but I could definitely do a weekend or two. Yeah, so I'm sure there's a lot of people out there like that too, that could give a weekend here or there, but could not foster a dog for 6 months. And so that could also greatly reduce the number of dogs in a shelter at a given time.
And it could be a good moneymaker. Rent a dog for
yeah.
a weekend.
There are shelters that do that. Yeah.
You rent a dog, it funds the shelter. It's win-win for everyone now, as opposed to thinking that it's bad for the dog.
Yeah,
it's a vacation.
Yeah.
It's restful.
It's a little vacation for the dogs in the shelters.
I need a vacation.
Yeah. No.
Would someone like to rent me?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Vacation? No.
You really ought to think ahead of when you're writing the Craigslist on. You might want to word it differently.
Okay. So next in the animal corner, I have a story about the three-toed skink, this little guy behind me here. This is from University of Sydney. He is from Australia. They are normally live-bearing, but they are bimodally reproductive, which means sometimes they are ovoviviparous. They have their eggs in their birth canal that is reabsorbed, and then they give birth to live lizards. And sometimes they lay eggs. And historically, they found that this skink that's native to the east coast of Australia in the northern highlands of New South Wales give live birth, but those that live in and around Sydney lay eggs. So they thought this was a genetically different kind of subspecies, these two different groups that had completely different reproductive methods. So this could be because of genetics, this could be because of environmental differences, but as far as they knew, there were these two different areas. But
that was what I was waiting for. Where's the but?
University of Sydney has observed a normally live-bearing Australian lizard lay 3 eggs and then weeks later gave birth to a live baby from the same pregnancy.
What?
Yeah. So they had 4 babies cooking in the oven.
That's right.
And they laid 3 eggs and the 4th came out live. This is unprecedented. This is bizarre.
Is it a timing issue? Like it's just like that egg just took too long to come out?
We don't know why this happened. This was a bizarre fluke that they discovered, and they are just so confused. So this is totally unprecedented. There are lots of animals kind of in this evolutionary transition between egg laying and live bearing. Specifically in reptiles, there's lots of snakes and lizards that have this live bearing method. And so we have about 150 of these transitions identified of animals where you can kind of see the difference between this strategy as these animals evolved. But this is something we have not seen, is both in the same individual in the same clutch. So they don't know how they're doing it. Is it a genetic switch? Is it a hormone thing? Did it not cook right and they had to cook longer? I don't know. But
the fact that they see these different populations and then, it could be telling us a different story.
So what is most likely is that these lizards can not kind of mentally go, I'm going to lay eggs or I'm going to give live birth, but that there's some sort of decision-making process based on outside factors that make it the proper thing to do. So in animals, we know that animals that lay eggs, there's lots of benefits to that. They don't have to carry the animal with them. They can go away and hunt and come back. But that also means that they can't go far from the nest. So mammals do one of the great reasons that they do live birth is that they can carry their babies with them, they can be migratory, they can move long distances, and they can cook them fully so that when they come out, a lot of them are precocial, they're ready to jump around.
Because cooked babies are great.
Cooked, fully cooked. You know, like giraffes and horses.
But
how
if
they
given
stand up right away.
Precocious.
Yeah,
but if given the choice,
yeah.
but if given the choice, if it was an option for humans to go like, you know what?
This time, an egg.
This time I'm gonna do an egg. I did a live. I had to carry the kid around the whole time. This time, I've got this project coming up. It's right at the end. I can have this egg can be incubating. It's
Hey,
gonna
sweetie,
take.
can you sit on the egg for me
60
today?
days
Yeah.
or so, 90 days, however long it takes.
That's a
I
real
can get some
test of a
stuff done to
partnership.
set up because I was supposed to paint a room and get like a
Yeah,
mobile.
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, but so this discovery is really amazing because it gives us an opportunity to study this species specifically to see how this transition happened, if it's genetic factors or external factors, all this kind of stuff. So this opens up a huge...
I'm sorry. Is there a placenta? Like, how is
No
what-
placenta.
no
What is
This
that?
is
What is
yeah,
the-
nope. This is aplacentic.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do none of you know what skinks look like? Sorry. This is a skink. So they have teeny tiny legs because
They're
they're,
so cute.
diggers.
They're
So
like-
their legs are basically useless because they dig with their head and their tail. So they just stick them to their sides. It's like they don't even need them. They're
there's-
basically vestigial. Yeah.
There's no belly button. Now I need to go.
They're
now,
like
see, now I
right in
gotta
between
learn.
a lizard and
how
a
this is-
snake.
Yeah. So lizards have a cloaca. We've talked about this on the show. They have the
but I have a really
all-in-one
bad
hole.
memory.
So they
The common urogenital tract,
yeah.
a cloaca.
So pee poo babies all comes out of the same place. It's
Yes.
the cloaca.
What? I don't think you broke it down like that before.
Anyway, they do not have a placenta. There is a yolk, but it's not exactly
That's
like
an
a
eggy
bird
thing.
yolk.
It's not
Yeah,
quite a bird's
yeah. So
egg
they have
either.
an egg. An egg develops in the birth tract, right? And then the egg reabsorbs.
And it's
the
kind of-
eggshell reabsorbs.
And it's not the same as a chicken egg
Right.
that you would eat for breakfast. It's not a hard calcified
Right.
shell. It's more leathery.
It's
and
leathery.
It's a
It's
different
kind of
material.
oblong.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Mama's
very
like, no, I need
collagen.
that back. Actually.
Yeah, exactly.
I could
So-
use the.
I need the nutrients.
Yeah, so
Yes.
there's a lot of benefits to that because you can reabsorb all of that for later, right? For the next clutch.
This is such a weird planet, right?
Justin, we're the weird ones.
We're the weird ones with our placentas.
Yeah.
What?
Don't get me started on placental mammals, all right? But
Don't get Dr. Jessica started on
This is
placental
actually the
mammals.
expert right here. If you have any questions about, if you don't think you have any questions about placentas, ask her. You will after.
You'll
be
ask
like,
her.
oh my God, I had no idea that was what that was.
We've talked to her
Yes.
about
Yeah.
placentas before.
yes.
She knows
Anyway,
things.
to close it out, Dr. Camilla Whittington from University of Sydney simply says the three-toed skink is now, quote, the weirdest lizards in the world. Which I would
Trivia
agree.
point
I think I would
there.
agree.
Are they the weirdest? Are they?
Yeah.
All right, we'll give you a chance to think about that because we have come to the end of the first half of our show, but there is more to come. We are going to be back in the second half after a musical interlude from the PDX Broadsides. We'll have an interview with Dr. Allison Coffin. So now we have a chance to grab a drink, go to the bathroom, and also listen to the PDX Broadsides. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. This Week in Science. This is Christian Lipsky. This is Holly Ann McCollum. I am Dr. Jessica Hebert, and we are the PDX Broadsides every time. Every time. We are Portland's best science band. Science Talk said so, so it's true. We sing songs about the things that we love, which is science and Star Trek and Starbucks and Nathan Fillion. This is a song about one of those things. Yes. Okay. Sometimes some things are hard, and sometimes some things that seem really hard just aren't. Get it together. This is rocket science. signaling when you turn, spending no more than you earn. Form a cue, say bless you when somebody sneezes. Dress up for that interview, say both please and thank you. Make some plans, wash your hands to prevent diseases. This is not rocket science. This should not catch you off guard. This is not rocket science. This is not that flippin' hard. Wanna raise an asteroid? Don't take other people's stuff. Fire's hot, X marks the spot. Answer all your emails. Use proper change for tolls. Don't engage with comment trolls. You put your feet on streetcar seats. Hurry, call it heads or tails. This is not rocket science. This should not catch you off guard. This is not rocket science. This is not that flippin' hard. Jam break. This is not rocket science. This should not catch you off guard. This is not rocket science. This is not that flippin' hard. Adjusting for the atmosphere, knowing how to engineer a craft for flight like Brothers Wright, to explore both space and sky, aeroelasticity, structural flexibility, what combusts, produce the thrust to make a rocket really fly. This is rocket science. This just might catch you off guard. This is rocket science. This is pretty flippin' hard. This is rocket science. This stuff is pretty flippin' hard. Rocket science. It's flippin' hard.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right.
If you want to hear us not say flippin', you can find us on Bandcamp, Spotify, iTunes, and a whole bunch of other places. The clean version is on our album Trust Issues, which you can get after the show from us out front. The dirty version is on an EP called Lust Issues, because we think we're clever.
Yeah.
Who's got a favorite science cat? Anybody know some science cats?
Garfield.
Okay. Garfield's our favorite president. Did I hear Schrodinger? Schrodinger.
Of course.
Of course. Schrodinger's cat, both alive and dead when it's in the box until you open it up
guys,
and look.
I feel like if you asked the cat, it would suck, right? The cat would be like,
What gives?
why?
What gives?
Okay.
So this is a song from the perspective of Schrodinger's cat. Sometimes I think my life is crap. I wanna curl up in someone's lap. I don't wanna be a paradox when I can sleep all day and poop in a box. Am I alive or am I dead? Is this the reason I've been bred? Either way it can be said, I'm still here, forever alive and always dead. If you look, it's on your head, a quantum paradox of dread, and yet I'm still here.
If I were Bucky Fuller's cat, I'd sleep in a dome and I'd be cool with that. Nikola Tesla would scratch my ears and not try to run me through with amperes. Am I alive or am I dead? Is this the reason I've been bred? Either way it can be said, I'm still here, forever alive and always dead. If you look, it's on your head, a quantum paradox of dread, and yet I'm still here. I'm more than just an adage, I'm more than just a riddle. My life is all a box and this kitty's in the middle. I'm more than just an adage, I'm more than just a riddle. My life is all a box and this kitty's in the middle. Nobel would let me see the light
open the box.
I'm still here.
But it's dark
You're
in
gonna run the
here.
experiment. I'm still here.
Some food would be nice.
Be quiet. I'm still here.
Or am I?
The
It's
life
a little
and
tricky.
times
It's a little tricky, right?
of Schrodinger's cat.
Shyamalan twist.
This is a song from our new album, Trust Issues. We have a brand new album, Relatable Content, and the Kickstarter for that begins on April 23rd. Follow us at PDX Broadsides on Facebook, Twitter, and we're all Fine Music is Sold. We're on the big... Oh, that's us. That's our faces.
We're on the Jumbotron, you guys.
It's pretty famous.
All right, so sometimes you have a breakup, and we write a lot of songs about feelings and science. You break up with a physicist. You know, we've all been there. And then you write a song about it.
Yeah, sure.
It's this song.
It seems that there's a shadow,
There's a shadow
on the golden light of day, leaving just the red shift as we quickly move away. What once was such an ordered life has just become chaotic. We used to mesh at several points, but now we're asymptotic. Oh, our velocity was constant till we both accelerated, moving off in separate paths that our directions have created. There's no way we could see how this would come to be. Delta D, Delta V, Delta U, Delta me. Our reactions to the facts of this relationship's explosion have been opposite and equal. Conservation of emotion. Oh, our velocity was constant till we both accelerated, moving off in separate paths that our directions have created. There's no way we could see how this would come to be. Delta D, Delta V, Delta U, Delta me. I know we're breaking up, but the attraction of the pieces will persist, although the square of our distance just increases. Oh, our velocity was constant till we both accelerated, moving off in separate paths that our directions have created. There's no way we could see how this would come to be. Delta D, Delta V, Delta U, Delta D, Delta V, Delta U, Delta D, Delta V, Delta U, Delta me. Thank you. So sad.
Breaking up. It's not rocket science.
Isn't it?
Well, it might be. It kind of is. All right, we have one more song for you before we get you back to the This Week in Science action. If you like what we had to sing to you tonight, and if you like This Week in Science, there's a merch table just outside. Come and visit us on your way out. Take music home with you, and also our Kickstarter again is April 23rd. We're launching for a new album called Relatable Content. The song's about science and Alice in Wonderland and our feelings about buffalo. This song about some of our favorite scientists. A song inspired by a book by Dane Alt, and we hope that you enjoy it. It's called Eureka.
Eureka, Eureka, Archimedes cried, and throughout all of history, from both far and wide, it's a new discovery, they exclaim with pride. Eureka, Eureka, science is applied. Galileo Galilei said the world was round. Isaac Newton saw the math and apples falling down. Cuvier named pterodactyl and the mastodon. Mary Anning's fossils moved the dinosaurs along.
Darwin took his beagle out to find the origin. Mendel crossed the genes of peas to see which traits would win. Ellen Richards pushed for better water, cleaner air. Marie Curie found particles were zooming here and there. Eureka, Eureka, Archimedes cried, and throughout all of history, from both far and wide, it's a new discovery, they exclaim with pride. Eureka, Eureka, science is applied. Henrietta Leavitt made a ruler out of light. Einstein slowed down time with superluminary flight. Fleming's penicillin cured a myriad of things. Nutzer gave us arithmetic thoughts on fields and rings. Hopper wrote the first compiler long before PCs. Rachel Carson loved the earth and hated DDT. Turing broke the Nazi code and thought about AI. Mary Leakey found your grandpa's bones at Old Dubai. Eureka, Eureka, Archimedes cried, and throughout all of history, from both far and wide, it's a new discovery, they exclaim with pride. Eureka, Eureka, science is applied. Rosalind Franklin had a way, double helix DNA. We can't thank her enough. The same would go for all the rest, scientists who did their best so we could know this stuff. Julian made medicine from plants of many kinds. Chandrasekhar postulated holes in space and time. Nellie Stevens' chromosomes gave us X and Y. Brahmagupta worked with zero, now we say goodbye. Eureka, Eureka, Archimedes cried, and throughout all of history, from both far and wide, it's a new discovery, they exclaim with pride. Eureka, Eureka, science is applied. Eureka, Eureka, science is applied.
Woohoo! Thank you so much. We've been the PDX Broadsides. Find us at PDX Broadsides on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LO, nobody's on LO anymore, and at pdxbroadsides.com. And now, we turn it back over to This Week in Science.
Everyone, can we give a big hand of applause for the PDX Broadsides, our house band for the evening? They're amazing. Amazing. Best science band in Portland. I would also like to thank 314 Action for sponsoring this live broadcast. 314 Action's mission is to elect scientists to public office, people who know firsthand how important science is and who will defend it in office. If you want to learn more, go to 314action.com.org. Make sure I get that right. 314action.org.
Too late.
Too late. Yes, you're right. All right.
And we're back with more This Week in Science.
There we are. We're back with more This Week in Science. And now it's time for one of our favorite segments of the show, lovingly called This Week in What Has Science Done for Me Lately? So we asked people in the audience here tonight to...
It's not a singing group.
No, to write on cards what science has done for them lately. And we're going to read a few of them over the next couple of minutes. First up, I'm not a scientist or a teacher. I wrangle teachers all day. I work in retail management, but I also start every morning with TWIS, and I love sharing my learnings and educating these kids when I can. Thank you for sharing science with us. All right, pick a card, any card. Pick a card, any card.
Oh, I've also experienced this. A new love of llamas.
That's a good one.
They're awesome.
Llamas are so good. This person says, science has given me a job, a life, and a purpose, kept me healthy. I've been vaccinated for measles.
Who knew?
That's good.
Wow. has helped me expand my network and ways of thinking. Now I enjoy talking about what I do, and I learn about other people's interests too. I am constantly curious because of science. Science helps me feel like I make a difference and can make an impact. Yay, science! Woohoo! And we all can through having conversations about science with people we know and love.
I can't read it. No, that's why. It
No,
wasn't.
no.
It wasn't that we didn't want to. It's illegible. That's the word.
Your speaking is
Oh,
illegible.
this is so sweet. Okay. Yeah, let me capture my daughter's beautiful smile to share with family thousands of miles away. Yeah, plate tectonics sucks if you are split amongst continents or across the country. It should be a much smaller planet.
I like this one. Science reminds me of my insignificance and keeps me humble. Good, I guess.
This is not a what has science done for me lately. This is a question. Could a mosquito detect lactic acid in your skincare product and find it appealing? So okay, so there's a way to test this.
Science.
Yeah, like put on skincare products, go out and whenever the mosquitoes are around and see who gets bit and see if somebody gets bit with a deodorant different than somebody else's or yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm giving you the
You're
blank
looking at the
ones.
wrong side.
Science has, for those people,
Yeah, there it is.
science has done nothing.
What has science done for me lately? Given me tools to talk about climate change with my community.
Yeah, there we go, science. Oh, cured 6.5 years of Lyme disease.
Eventually.
Yes. What has science done for me lately? DNA testing on my baby when he was 12 weeks old. New science that Kaiser made available not only 1.5 years ago. That's amazing. Science turned into application, and that is what we hope a lot of science will turn into. But all of these things bring us to why we do this segment of the show, is to remind us that science is a part of our lives, and it affects us in a million, bazillion, uncountable ways every single day. And thank goodness for science. And if anyone would like to let us know what science has done for them, they can send me an email at kirsten@thisweekinscience.com.
I have to. Save me from getting pregnant.
Thank you, science.
There's no further definition than the pill. Like, you don't have to know. Like, all the other drugs have all these elaborate the pill, everybody knows. Yeah, that's the fucking important one.
There we go.
I know, I just broke the...
You broke the rule, Justin.
But actually, technically, I used it in context.
We want to keep filling this segment of the show with something from our community every week, so send me that email or leave me a message on our Facebook page. Now, I would like to introduce our interview guest, Dr. Allison Coffin. She is an associate professor of neuroscience at Washington State University, Vancouver. She uses fish to study the causes of hearing loss with the goal that it will lead to future treatments. She loves to talk about science and help others improve how they communicate their research so much that she helped found an organization for professional science communicators called Science Talk, which starts its annual conference tomorrow. Welcome to the show, Dr. Coffin. Hello. So you're going to need this microphone.
Okay.
There we go.
Oh, be careful giving me a microphone.
I know. All right. Your degree, how you started out, I introduced you as doing fishy hearing science.
Yes.
Not in a bad way.
Right, although I do have friends that say that fish don't have ears and therefore my whole degree is made up.
So let's talk about that. You started in marine biology, and now you're studying the neuroscience of hearing with fish. How did that happen? What was your path?
My path, like I think so many of us, including probably a lot of people here, was one that I definitely didn't plan, and if I'd tried, it sure wouldn't have looked like this. So I was one of those little girls that wanted to chase sharks. I didn't really know what I'd do with them if I caught them, but I wanted to.
Sharks!
Exactly, right. Like, I was 5 years old, and my mother was snorkeling off the dock in the Florida Keys, and I was just sitting on the dock watching her snorkel. And she pops her head up at one point and says, "There's this big catfish down there." And I looked down, and there was about a 3-foot nurse shark swimming along. And at the
Not a
time, I was
catfish.
already into sharks and said, "No, Mom, that's a shark." And she flipped out and jumped out of the water and jumped on the dock. And the little scratch on her foot from the dock, she swore was a shark bite. And it turned into this big family story, the fish story, really. But from that moment on, I knew that I wanted to study fish. And so I went to school for marine biology in Florida, because being from Minnesota, there are a ton of fish, but no sharks. Right. And while I was an undergrad in Florida, I learned that some fish make sounds and use that to talk to each other, which just blew my mind. Like, fish can make sound and communicate, and some fish make sounds to attract mates, like fish have pickup lines. Like, how cool is that? Sometimes the pickup lines sound better than some of the pickup lines that some of us women have heard, so fish kind of have it figured out. So I became really interested in fish sound production. But I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to do research. I didn't quite know what that looked like. So I finished undergrad. I applied to grad school. I didn't get in. I then said, oh crap, now what do I do? And then I decided I'll try moving back to Minnesota, where there are lots of fish, and do a master's in fisheries and kind of figure things out, get a master's degree, get more research experience. While I was in graduate school there, I discovered that, well, if fish have ears or fish can make sounds and talk to each other, well, then they have ears. And for whatever reason, this idea of a fish ear just like blew my mind, and that's what I decided I wanted to do for the rest of my life. Right, I know.
Fish ears!
I'm
oh
weird.
my god!
Exactly, that was totally it. Wow, they have these ears, like who knew? Because when you look at a fish, you don't go, oh look, there's its ear, right? You're like, there's the eye, there's the tail. You don't really look at a fish and think, wow, check out your ears. So I did my PhD studying fish ears, and while I was doing that, realized that we could also use fish then as a biomedical model to study human hearing loss, and so that's the bulk of what my lab does now.
So how do you end up deciding that the fish they can be a biomedical model for human hearing, for like people losing their hearing and trying to stop that?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. What's analogous between these two?
I mean, fish are hearing, but they're like swimming in the sea of vibrations. And is that the same? What's going on?
Pretty much, because the cells in our ears are swimming in the sea of vibrations in our inner ear in fluid. So the cells, they're called hair cells, not like these hairs on our head, but they have little hair-like things that stick out the top. Those cells are the same whether they're in our ears, or at least really similar, same evolutionary relationships, if they're in our ears, or they're in a fish's ears, or they're in what my lab studies, which is on the outside of the body, in a place called the lateral line, which if you look down the side of a salmon, you see this kind of line. If you were to stick your salmon fillet skin side up under a microscope, there are little clusters of these hair cells on the outside of that. Like, don't worry about it, you can eat them, that's fine. But
Everyone's like, what about my sushi?
So are you there's hair on their backs. There's hair on
not
their
like
sides.
that kind of back hair. That's different.
So they're hearing with their skin?
Can you hear with your back hair?
If you're hearing with, that's a lot of back hair. We probably shouldn't go there. So kind of. They're hearing with their ears, because fish have ears. They just don't have outer ears. You don't see them. But they have an inner ear, and it's similar in some ways to ours. And they also then have these hearing cells, these hair cells on the outside of their bodies, which have been called a sense of distant touch in a way, because they sense vibration in the water near the fish, but they're the same kind of cells that we use for hearing. And so they have them on the outside of their bodies, so we can do things like put the entire fish under the microscope. We don't have to dissect the ear out, and look at these cells and see what they're doing. We can expose them to things like loud noise, and then we can say, hey, what's going on with these cells? When we expose them to noise, when we basically put the fish to concert, but not Skillrex.
Skrillex? Yeah.
Skrillex, right. I should know. Actually, I have Skrillex on my...
Let's take the fish to Skrillex.
I actually play Skrillex in the lab some of the time. I actually like EDM, and some of my former lab members are EDM producers and DJs. So I'm sure Skrillex has been played in the lab to our fish.
So it's okay. So and this is like I'm going to take a side thing, and then you go on with the thing you're saying. But mumbling into a microphone. Which
yes.
Is fun. So it sounds like it's audio that the human ear, to be conserved in evolutionary sense, had to go inside and get fluidically filled to be preserved. Like the ear was a thing that worked in liquid.
In fluid.
In fluid. And we had to maintain this evolutionarily, bring it on the inside. Is this?
You're actually hitting a controversy in ear evolution right now.
Of course.
Of course. Got to bring up the controversy. Right. That which came first, the ear or the lateral line, depends on who you ask.
Okay, I'm asking you.
Right. You're asking me, and I would say, I know I'm going to sound like a scientist here, we're not actually sure which came first.
Okay.
Sorry, dude,
okay.
but yeah.
So you can put these fish into various environments. You can expose them to loud noise, see what happens. We also know that chemicals can cause damage to hair cells. What kinds of things lead to death of hair cells, which is something I'm afraid of?
Right, as you should be, especially if we're going dancing Friday night. But don't worry, I'll bring earplugs. Right. Thankfully, actually, what doesn't lead to death of hair cells, actually I'm going to go there first, because I think most of us know that noise causes hearing loss. That band did not. I've got to say, I was really impressed with the noise level. PDX Broadsides, nicely done.
Very good mixing.
Right.
Yes.
I was sitting about halfway back, and I pulled out the dB meter on my phone, and they were peaking right about 87 dB, which is considered generally safe unless it's 8 hours a day. So don't listen to them at that volume for 8 hours a day. They're awesome, but if you're going to listen for that long, turn it down a bit. But in general, they didn't cause hearing loss, which made me really happy. But very loud noise, so again, turning Skrillex way up.
Or if you were me sitting next to the tuba player in band.
Yes, actually, there's a lot of hearing loss in orchestral musicians. They just don't talk about it because they're afraid they're going to lose their job if it's known that they have hearing loss while they're still an active musician, particularly professionally.
And they also don't know that anybody asked them about hearing loss. Because they
Yeah. Nicely done. Right, but other things can cause hearing loss, things like certain antibiotics, including some of those that are fairly effective when other antibiotics aren't. So getting back at the story earlier about how we're going to have antibiotic problems in the next 20 to 30 years.
Certain
Will
antibiotics
the
fish mucus
Antibiotic
hearing
and
loss.
hearing loss problems, obviously.
Well, actually, maybe there will be less hearing loss from antibiotics because the antibiotics people won't be taking as much, so they'll be dying, but their hearing will be okay. Yeah, that doesn't really sound ideal either.
I don't know about this logical loop.
But the fish mucus is from fish, so I feel like it
I know,
should
I was
be
thinking about
fine.
that. I was thinking about that, about what we could find in fish mucus that might also be able to...
protect their hearing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I totally thought about that during that story.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, now I'm going to have to go read that paper. Yeah, so some antibiotics, some chemotherapy drugs can also cause hearing loss.
Okay, so we wanted to do a test here tonight with our audience to find out what you can hear.
Right.
And so we're gonna, I can't really see everybody in the audience, so if you can hear the sound, clap 3 times, okay? And then if you can't hear the sound, just don't do anything, because I think it'll give us a measure of how
as long as we can
hear the clapping.
Yeah, as long as our hearing is good enough to hear the clapping, we should be able to judge their hearing abilities.
Right, we're going to be able to hear the clapping. I'm going to say right now, if all of you guys, and I know I can't, can hear the highest frequency sound, the highest pitches, I'm seriously impressed.
Okay.
Because the only way I can tell if these
Okay,
highest pitches are
so
working is if my
here's the
cat
first
pays
one,
attention.
right?
Hearing test.
Here's the first one right now.
Here's the first one.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Second one.
That was the easy
Oh,
one.
wait. Play the second one again.
Okay, here's the second one.
So here's the second one. Okay, third one.
That actually I don't think was right. That was coming from the speakers.
We're gonna third one again.
Okay.
That was the third one. Okay.
That's
Okay,
not
here's-
16.
Sorry. Okay, here's the fourth one.
Anyone hear it?
Oh yeah, it's on right now? Yeah, I'm also,
Yeah,
Okay,
sure.
hit the fifth one. Who can hear the fifth one?
There isn't a fifth one.
There isn't a fifth one.
Oh, sorry. Oh, man. Sorry, dude.
Somebody was gonna clap and I'd be like, aha!
Okay, I suck.
I know there are a few children in the audience, and so I was hoping to hear,
Should
hear
I try
the
it
last.
one more time?
All right, children,
Do you hear
pay
this?
attention. Yeah.
Some people
Yeah.
hear it. Okay.
I can
I
hear
can't
it
even
now.
hear it. I can't hear it at all.
No, I will turn my back and raise my hand
So
and you turn it on.
my
I can
question
do it.
here is we can hear these different frequencies, but why is it the high frequency sounds that get affected the most?
For whatever reason, there are a few ideas. These high frequency hearing cells, these hair cells, are more susceptible to damage. So part of it is thought that they're more metabolically active. They're a lot more active. They're producing a lot more energy. They're using a lot more energy. And so they may then be more damaged than the lower frequency cells that just aren't as active, is at least the kind of prevailing thought.
So as a physiologist, I've studied hair cells before, and the idea is like hair cells, they vibrate when they hear the sound, vibrations come through, right? And I've thought about how they get damaged, and I just thought, oh, they just die, and they fade away. And I didn't really think about what they looked like. And we had an image up on the screen a moment ago about what damaged hair cells look like. Like, it looks like an explosion. It looks like these nice, pretty hairs just got blasted to smithereens. How does that happen? What is going on there?
So those images are from noise, and that really is physically, there are little bits that connect each of the hairs in the hair bundle, which is the bits of hairs, like things that are sticking out the top of the cell, and loud noise disrupts, basically just breaks apart these little connections between the different hairs, and so they're not held together cohesively, but they splay out all over the place. But what you don't see here is what's going on under the surface. That's just like the top, the hairs on the head. You're not seeing the rest of the body of the cell, which is then breaking apart and fragmenting and disintegrating, essentially. But in an orderly way. It's not just like, oh, there's a noise, I'm gonna blow up. It's that then there's a noise or there's a damaging drug, and that triggers something in the cell, that triggers something else, that triggers something else, that the cell dies in an orderly way so that it doesn't affect the cells around it as much.
Wow. This is, yeah. So are there any promising avenues for saving our hair cells? Save our cells!
How can I undo
Save
all
us.
those years sitting next to the tuba player?
Can we fix it?
It's too late at this point with you sitting next to the tuba player all those years, but we're working on it. Basically, what I say is, if by the time, say, the kids in this audience are old, we can't fix it, then I'm not really sure how useful my colleagues and I are. But what we can do, or at least what we're working on, not just my lab, but the field, are things like developing drugs to prevent hearing loss. And I think prevention at this point is an easier target than regeneration. We're further away from regeneration, but prevention is a doable target, particularly prevention from, say, certain antibiotics or chemotherapy drugs, because we know a patient's getting this chemotherapy drug for these couple of weeks. If we can develop a drug that will prevent the hearing loss side effect, we know exactly when we need to give that second drug, because we know when somebody's coming into the hospital for chemotherapy or for a dose of, or a course of antibiotics. And so I think that's kind of the next step in really preventing hearing loss is going to be drug-induced hearing loss. Noise is a more intangible problem because noise exposure can happen for a long period of time, but we and others in the field are working on drugs to prevent noise-induced hearing loss. The regeneration thing is further away, but one of the things that fish can do that's really cool is they can regenerate their hearing, and we can't. Actually, not just fish, but the skinks you talked about earlier, frogs, birds, pretty much everything but mammals can regenerate their hearing.
Yeah, mammals gained a placenta but lost regeneration.
Ooh,
Yeah,
of all kinds of stuff.
Why would those animals need to be able to regenerate their hearing while mammals don't?
So they can hear. I heard CRISPR. Well, CRISPR is one possibility for fixing, hearing cells, and we're working on that. But why mammals can't is a good question. So really, from an evolutionary perspective, it's why did we as mammals lose the ability to regenerate our hearing? And it's thought that because our inner ears, our cochlea, has a much different architecture, much different structure than the inner ear of a fish or even of a chicken. It has the same kind of hearing cells, but the other cells around it are really different. And in the mammalian cochlea, the mammalian inner ear, they're a lot more structured. There are different types of cells. And they keep the structure in a really fine orientation and in a particular way that if some of those surrounding cells were to, say, start dividing and turning into hair cells, that would, it's thought, disrupt the structure of the cochlea, which would lead to worse hearing in the cochlea, whereas in the ear of a fish or in the ear of a bird, they don't have that same kind of structure, and so the cells around the hair cells, when there's damage, they can divide, and those new cells become hair cells, or the surrounding cells, they're called supporting cells because they do something to support the hair cells, they can directly become new hair cells in some cases.
And it doesn't disrupt what's going on.
It doesn't seem to
already.
disrupt frequency discrimination or things like that, whereas it's thought that it would maybe disrupt fine frequency discrimination mammalian inner ear. And there are also all these hypotheses about what's called the cytoskeleton, the cell skeleton, and how that is structured differently in the ear of animals that can regenerate versus not. But the bottom line
which
is
also
we
isn't
can't.
a thing. I mean, it's a fluidic. It's not the cytoskeleton of the cell turned out not to be found.
Right, it's there, but it's just different.
It's a fluidic thing. Well, no, but it's really interesting that that it has an import in hearing because it's a fluidic, which and not a structural system. Is there a difference between? You've mentioned noise a few times. Is there a difference between hearing loss that comes from like being somebody on a tarmac around jet planes and somebody who has maybe been a rock star and doing concert music stuff? Is there a differentiation between the type of music or type of sound or type of noise that people how it's getting affected?
It depends on the kind of noise. So there can be. Now, in the two scenarios you just gave, bottom line is there's going to be significant hearing loss, and especially in those higher pitches, those higher frequencies, because they've just been exposed to a lot of noise over a long period of time. But for people that say were maybe just around the tuba, you might have what's called a notch, basically a change in your hearing in the frequency region that tuba is playing at, and you actually might only have hearing loss in one ear, because a lot of times in orchestras, you're positioned so the tuba or the trumpet is right behind one ear, and so that's what's called unilateral hearing
So
loss. which is hearing
eventually
loss
you
on
won't
one
even know
side.
there's a tuba player next to you.
Right.
Which sometimes is better.
All right, so what is your take-home message for people related to hearing loss? Because people we're concerned about loud environments and things that we're exposing ourselves to, but what can people do? What's your
So the
message?
easiest thing is just protect your ears. I was out at a club in Portland a couple of months ago, and I'm getting my coat from the coat check woman at the end of the night, and I take out my earplugs to talk to her, to tell her what coat I need, and she just looks at the earplugs in my hand like that's something really weird she's never seen before.
Yeah, they're not cool is the problem.
And part of that's what we're trying to change, is we're
Yeah.
trying to make earplugs cool. Like,
Earplugs
we're
are
bringing sexy
cool.
back, we're bringing earplugs back.
Yeah.
Because really,
I'm
that's
bringing sexy back. I'm bringing earplugs back.
Exactly.
There we
You've
go.
got the little it doesn't mean you have to put on a concert, Kiki.
That's right. I got my Brittany and JT on. Here
Oh,
we go
totally.
with my- yes.
Right. So that's the easiest thing, really, is just protect your hearing. I'm not saying don't go out for music. I'm married to a drummer. I'm regularly writing
Oh my
grants
God.
on hearing
Every
loss.
deaf person I've ever met was a drummer. Can I tell you?
Well, can you hear?
Can you tell her? Yes, you just did.
I'm looking at him right now. Can you still hear?
All right. Where can people find more information about your work if they're interested in it?
If you just Google Coffin Lab, Coffin, just like the box you bury someone in, because, well, we even have a little comic now with hair cells in a little coffin because they're sad, because they're dying, and we're trying to resurrect them again.
That is good.
All right.
All right, everyone, you heard her, the Coffin Lab, and she'll be around here after the show if you have questions.
Yes, I will stick around after, and also I just got to give a big shout out to everybody that's here for Science Talk tomorrow. Looking forward to seeing everybody in the morning.
Yeah! Thank you, Allie. It was so good getting to talk to you. Thank you. All right, everyone, we have a couple of quick science news stories for you to take out the end of the show because we all need a little bit more information in our lives. All right, climate change. Yeah.
Oh, somebody's for it. Okay, that's a first.
It's happening. It's real. And things are getting hotter. We can fix this, and please can we fix it soon? Because the glaciers on the tops of the Earth's tallest mountains are melting. Yes. Denali in Alaska, the tallest mountain in North America. Yeah, well, that snow-covered cap is starting to melt. And hikers for several decades have been digging in the snow and ice, thinking that they could just put their poo away for eternity. They were wrong. It's melting. There are some 66 tons of human poo that may become released.
Kiki, point of order. How do we know how much there is?
It's an estimate because hiking on Denali has been highly controlled. For years, it was only researchers able to go up certain paths, and then they opened it up to permit only hiking, so they know exactly how many people have gone up the mountain.
And they asked people before they went up, did you have your morning coffee, right?
Right.
In 12 seconds at a time.
Yeah.
It got to.
Yeah, 12 seconds at a time, and we've got 66 tons of waste on the top of Denali, and it's not the only mountain in the world. So put that along with the corpses on Everest, and there's probably poo on Everest as well. Extreme hiking is turning into a house of horrors. Yay, science! Thanks for teaching me this. All right, also, deadly bird strikes. Chicago, #1 in the United States for birds running into things. It just, someone decided to figure out where do birds run into things the most. It turns out Chicago, Houston, and Dallas, Texas are the top 3, namely because they are along paths of migratory flyways, and being large population centers, there's a lot of light pollution, and so the birds get confused as they are migrating at night and run into buildings.
And because Chicago's the Windy City, they're just getting blown into buildings left and right? No? Is that not?
No. Anyhow, altogether, disaster for birds. Thanks, cities. That's good. Highlight for the end of the show. Blair, tell me, or Justin.
I don't have anything. I'm trying to figure out. I'm just trying to be able to see. I keep looking up and I'm like, oh, bright lights. And it's all blank.
Blair, give me a last story.
How do you lay? If you are a hyrax or a camel or a cow or a hippo, you might lay down in different ways. Yes, this is a scientific study. In ruminants, like cows, sheep, antelopes, deer, giraffes, they sit kind of straight up. You don't often see them laying on their side, and we've always assumed that this is because they digest their food through their rumen, through this separate compartment in their stomach, and so you needed gravity to help with this process. process. But University of Zurich observed 250 mammals in zoos in more than 30,000 rest phases, and they found that digestion didn't really have anything to do with it. It was about how big the animal was and how long their legs were. So for animals like the hyrax and everything that's small, and they have a very small shape. Yeah, hyraxes are amazing. They have a small leg. They would sit kind of straight up and down. So do camels and cows. But larger animals lay on their sides, elephants being one of the most obvious. But the animal that kind of broke the mold is the hippo. The hippo does pretty much whatever they want. Yeah.
Yep.
So there you go. This Week in Science.
I saw, what is it, Hyrax?
Hyrax. It
Hyrax.
is related to elephants. So just think about that for a while, and we'll talk about it later.
Hyrax, elephants.
So, but it looks like a giant squirrel.
Yeah, not a rodent.
So they have one at the Griffith Zoo, the Griffith Park Zoo in Los Angeles, but before I had seen this, I had noticed a preponderance of squirrels in the zoo, and when I saw it, I was like, oh, now I know why they're here. There's a giant squirrel they're all here worshiping, right? that is running this zoo.
Yes, that giant squirrel is in fact related to elephants. And once again, let's talk about that later, maybe over a beer this evening.
Hyrax.
Yeah.
Deity. I like it. Oh my goodness. That brings us to the end of another show. But before we go, I would love to give shout outs to various people who have helped us be here tonight. Fada, thank you so much for show notes and for helping us with social media and flyering for this show. Thank you. Thank you to our sponsor for this event, 314 Action. Thank you so much for making it possible. And to Science on Tap and Science Talk for making this happen in the first place, bringing us all together. Thank you. Every one of you who has volunteered, who has put time into making this possible, I can't thank you enough. This is just brilliant. We couldn't have done this without you. Thank you also to our Patreon sponsors. It's time for the roll. Are we ready for this? Thank you. It's happening. It is. It's happening. Paul Disney, Richard Onemus, Edward Dyer, Stu Pollock, Philip Shane, Ken Hayes, Harrison Prather, Charlene Henry, Joshua Fury, Steve DeBell, Alex Wilson, Tony Steele, Craig Landon, Mark Mazzaros, Jack Hall, Matthew Litwin, Jason Roberts, Bill Kay, Bob Calder, Time Jumper 319, Eric Knapp, Richard Brian Condren, Dave Neighbor, Aiden Jeff, John Bertram, Mountain Sloth, Seth O'Gradney, Stephen Halberon, John Ratnastrami, Dave Rydell, Daryl Myshak, Andrew Swanson, Paul Ronajvich, Corinne Benton, Sue Doster, Dave Wilkinson, Ben McNell, Richard Porter, Noodles, Kevin Reardon, Christoph Zucknerek, Ashish Pants, Ulysses Adkins, Sarah Chavez, Artyom, Rick Ramus, Paul, John McKee, where am I? Jason Olds, Brian Carrington, Christopher Dreyer, Lisa Slazuski, Jim DePoe, Greg Riley, Sean Lamb, Ben Rothick, Steve Leisman, Kurt Larson, Rudy Garcia, Marjorie, Gary S., Robert, Greg Briggs, Brendan Minish, Cooper Rathman, Flying Out, Aaron Luth, Matt Sutter, Mark Hessen Flo, Kevin Parrigan, Byron Lee, and E.O.
Nicely done.
Read it out. Thank you for all your support on Patreon. If anyone is interested in supporting us and what we do, you can find information at our website, TWIS.org. And oh my gosh, thank you to the PDX Broadsides. It has been amazing to share the stage with them tonight. How brilliant. Thank you for being our house band.
Thank you for letting us be your house
You're
band.
amazing.
We were just waiting backstage, and we're like, we're gonna come on now and yell at you. No, we live here. We've been waiting for a science event.
Live here. We can do these. We can do these. So where can people find your music if they want more?
Oh, where can you find us? You can find us at pdxbroadsides.com. We are on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, where all good music and some bad music is sold. You can find us also on Twitter and Facebook. And we have a Kickstarter on April 23rd for our 5th studio album and East Coast tour. And the album's name is Relatable Content.
Yay!
And ask her where placentas come from. It will blow your mind.
I'm also a placentologist in real life. Real job you can have, kids. Dream big.
Dream big. All right, everyone, thank you so much for coming out tonight. On next week's show, once again, we're going to be broadcasting live online at 8 p.m. Pacific time on twist.org/live, where you can watch and join our chat room. Don't worry if you can't make it. You can find our past episodes at youtube.com/thisweekinscience or twist.org.
Thank you for enjoying this evening. We certainly did. TWIS is also available as a podcast, and if you have a mobile-type device, it's TWIS, the number 4 Droid app in the Android marketplace, or simply This Week in Science in anything Apple marketplacey.
For more information on anything you've heard here today, perhaps more pictures of fish mucus, you can go to our website, twist.org. You can see our show notes, and you can also make comments and start conversations with the hosts, hey, that's us, or other listeners, that's all of you.
But if you don't want to talk to other listeners, you can just contact us directly. Email Kirsten at thisweekinscience.com, Justin at twistminion@gmail.com, or Blair at blairbaz@twist.org. Or just make sure you put TWIS, T-W-I-S, somewhere in your subject line, because we've got filters, and you will be spam filtered into oblivion. You can also hit us up on the Twitter, where we are at TWIS Science, at Dr. Kiki, at Jacksonfly, and at Blair's Menagerie. We love your feedback. If there's a topic you would like us to cover or address, a suggestion for an interview, a haiku that comes to you in the night, please let us know.
We'll be back here, not here, but like online
Somewhere.
next week. We're also going to be out at the merch table right after this if you're here in Portland.
Or at the bar.
And we hope that you'll join us again next week for more great science news.
Yeah, but remember, if you've learned anything from tonight's show, remember,
It's all in your head. Send us out, PDX Broadsides.
All right, this is a new one. Off the
Brand new.
album. It's been a long day for several months. Internal silence, I had it once. Though my life is looking up, I just see an empty cup that is somehow made of fire. So I'm looking for some friends I used to know. Give me that serotonin, dopamine, and empty out my veins of gasoline. I'm stuck in overdrive, and I could burn alive. I need some serotonin, dopamine. Sweet endorphins come to me and calm my worried brow. I could use some solace from you now. Is that a backbeat? Or jungle drums, like something wicked? It always comes. All I want is to get out of this hidden haunted house that is open all year round. So if you could get me where I need to go, I need that serotonin, dopamine, and empty out my veins of gasoline. I'm stuck in overdrive, and I could burn alive. I need that serotonin, dopamine. Sweet endorphins come to me and calm my worried brow. I could use some solace from you now. Somehow it feels like I am plugged into a socket in a rocket that is full of angry bees, who now decide that it is time to do my taxes, sharpening axes while I think I've lost my keys. No need to worry, no need to worry, I'll be alright. Are you alright? I will be social. You will
will be social.
Just not tonight.
Just not tonight.
There's an upset in my brain, and I'm afraid I must abstain, but I'll party on my own. So if you've got those drugs I need to score, give me that serotonin, dopamine. Empty out my veins of gasoline. I'm stuck in overdrive, and I could burn alive. I need that serotonin, dopamine. Soothing, sweet endorphins come to me and calm my worried brow. I could use some solace from you now. Oh, oh,
I could use some solace from you now.
Thank you very much. Thank you, science.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming. Have a wonderful night. Thank you. Thank you, science.
Come see us out in the lobby. Let's talk. Let's talk about anxiety.